Hello class, my name is Lemio Bringa, and today I'll be doing my presentation on album cover art. So specifically I'll be covering a specific album cover, but that's just the general name of the presentation. So the album cover that I'll be presenting is an album cover by Lil Yachty. Um, I'll just be talking about the visual elements that the designer uses to make the album cover insightful to the public. So before I get into all of that, I want to get into the designer and the artist themselves. So the designer of the album cover is Mahalo Andic. He is from Toronto. He is a designer and photographer for Yachty's album. So not just for the album cover that I'm covering, but also for his previous albums. And the names of those albums are Lil Boat and Summer Songs 2. He also made covers for Migos, Quavo, Party Next Door, and Safe. So those are just some other hip hop artists that are known, around the world. And yeah, that's it from Halo Andic. So now we'll be going to Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty is a rapper from Atlanta, Georgia. His real name is Miles McCollum, but his rapper name is Lil Yachty, of course. He started to become known in 2015 with his songs One Night in Minnesota. And they aired on Drake's OVO Sound Radio, so that definitely gave him a lot of buzz. He really began to get a lot of buzz in 2016 when he released his albums Lil Boat and Summer Songs 2. So like me personally, I don't listen to Lil Yachty. I listen to him on occasion. And he hasn't really released any music recently, but he does plan to release an album in May of this year. So maybe I'll listen to it. So next, we will be talking about the album cover, Lil Boat 2. This album was released on March 9, 2018. It is seen as a creative work in regards to music. This is the second studio album that Lil Yachty has made, and it was number 2 on the U.S. Billboard 200. It also has 17 songs. So, despite all of that, I'm going to be talking about the visual elements. The visual elements that I'll be talking about is emphasis, positive and negative space, and color. So the first visual element is emphasis. So just as emphasis is used in other paintings, such as frescoes, oil canvas paintings, it is also used in album cover photography. So in the album cover, Lil Yachty is the focal point. He stands right in the center of the image, waist deep above the ocean. So what makes Lil Yachty so special in his artwork, besides him being the artist, is due to the fact that the name of the album is Lil Boat 2, and of course the name of the artist is Lil Yachty. So the word yacht refers to a sailboat used for pleasure cruising. So in the image, Lil Yachty is well above the surface of the ocean, just as a sailboat would be. This reason alone is why the album cover is appealing to the audience. Lil Yachty's appearance in this album cover is quite unordinary due to his red braided hair and jewelry. So you don't really see a lot of musical artists, with the red hair. That's just a rarity. And that alone is what makes Lil Yachty stand out. If a person were to see this cover for the first time, they would probably place Yachty in the hip hop category, just based off the jewelry that he has around his neck. So, the image of an artist can play a role in how we categorize and judge the artistic work. So, it will make sense for audiences to place Lil Yachty in the hip hop category based off of how he appears on the album cover. The emphasis of the Lil Boat 2 album cover can be compared to the artwork of Kehinde Wiley's Anthony of Padua, which is the first image comparison. The figure in the oil on canvas painting is placed in the center of the artwork, as he also wears a necklace. So the blank but serious look that he has is also similar to Yachty's face in the album cover, because that really just plays into the emphasis aspect as Yachty looks out into the distance. So that's the first visual element, emphasis. Just comparing those two artworks, how emphasis plays a role in those two artworks. So the second visual element is positive and negative space, and this is another element that Mahalo uses in the artwork. So in the cover, Lil Yachty is the positive space, as he appears to be the main focus of the image. He takes up most of the space in the cover. His figure is larger than the delineation of the other aspects in the image. Yachty and the ocean appear more clear to the viewer than the sky, as the sky appears to be a bit more translucent. These are common qualities of positive and negative space. The orange-yellow colored sky is not as clear to the audience because it is not the positive space. It is portrayed as the background of the image. The ocean is more clear in the picture towards the bottom of the picture. Moving towards the top of the picture, the ocean becomes less vivid. The water around Lil Yachty and the sky behind him is the negative space in the cover. And the negative space, of course, are the things that surround the main focus of the image. So hypothetically speaking, if there were 10 people that looked at this album cover, there's a good possibility that all 10 would notice Lil Yachty off the bat. In some artists, in some paintings, a lot of artists don't really make a distinction between positive and negative space. But in this album cover, Andic makes it clear to what the positive and negative space are. So there are similarities to Lil Boat 2 in regards to space. It is seen in the Allen Ginsberg drawing by David Levine, which is the second image comparison. Levine intended to make the positive space in the figure the middle of the United States depiction, as the sketch of the United States was made to be the negative space. So the sketch of the United States could have been the positive space, but the artist did not intend for that to be the positive space due to the face that was in the middle of the U.S. So if the U.S. had, features on it to make it the positive space, then it would people would kind of be thinking, oh, that could be the positive space, or maybe that's not the positive space. So that's with that. And the last visual element is color. And color is this visual element is the most important of the three because it gives the work of art its flavor. So orange-yellow, the dominant color of the image, causes tints, tone, and shade in the image. The orange-yellow color comes from sunlight, which is not seen in the image. Yachty's skin is sun-kissed, mostly on his chest and his shoulder area. This makes some of Yachty's skin look lighter. Surprisingly, Yachty's face appears a bit darker. On his cheek, a darker shade of brown is noticeable. The color used in the album cover is used in a simple but intriguing way. Referring back to the yellow-orange color, it makes the cover more interesting to look at. There are different ways that this color appears to the audience. The ocean reflects the color of the sunlight very well. Andic made this reflection to give the cover a cool look. As you can see, there are also darker shades in the water towards the bottom of the image. Towards the top of the image, the shades appear more lighter. The sky appears the lightest in the image. The color is portrayed differently on both the ocean and the sky because both of them have different textures. The orange-yellow color gives an implication in the image that the sunset gives the ocean a warm temperature and a hue. Andic does a good job of incorporating the reflection aspect in the cover using one color, which is the orange-yellow color. In the image Works in Progress by Annie Lay, we see a helicopter with a blue sky and blue waters below it, which is the third image comparison. The setting in this work is similar to Andic's work in Lil Boat 2. Both pieces show how color creates hue in water. Unlike Lil Boat 2, Lay does not use one color to give attentiveness to the majority of the piece. So color in both pictures are used differently, but they both have similarity in terms of how the color reflects off of the other pieces in the artwork. So in conclusion, the overall creativity was wonderful. Andic's work on Lil Boat 2 was flavorful and beautiful. It was just a creative piece overall. Due to the music and the artwork, it just came together to make a very creative whole. The implementation of different concepts in the piece of the art really gives the audience something to ponder on. These three key visual elements make the work of art not only appealing to the public, but worthy of being mentioned in a list of great hip hop album covers. And that's it for my presentation.